All right. I got two questions last week that were roughly the same, and I thought the question that was asked was pretty much was a really good one to do a video about. So that's what I'm going to do. So what is the question? Basically, the question was, why do I do powerlifting versus bodybuilding? And then one of the questioners asked, versus weightlifting versus strongman competition, I believe. So I'm going to tackle this in a way that I'm going to try to keep as positive as possible, but I also want to be honest. So let me say right now that a little bit of backstory on my lifting. When I first started lifting, I actually didn't really know of any other competitive way to approach the activity of weightlifting, and I mean that in terms of lifting in the gym, just strength training, not like Olympic weightlifting. I didn't really understand that at a competitive level above anything other than physique competition. I figured that was just what you did if you decided to get into this really seriously. So at the beginning of my time where I started to get really, really interested in this, and this is, once again, this is before powerlifting training. I wasn't deadlifting or squatting or benching for a while when I first started lifting. So when I first started, I really didn't realize there were other options, and I kind of got interested in the idea of pushing myself in the way that physique competition would ask of me. Now, unfortunately, even back then, even when I just had begun to understand, this was a thing, I also kind of didn't feel comfortable with it. I really felt uncomfortable with the amount of artifice related to it, and when I say that, I mean, I understand the tanning. I do understand it in terms of judgeability on the stage. In fact, it's frankly not so much an aesthetic thing as it is like I need to be able to see muscle tone if I'm a judge, and if you're really pale, it's just not going to happen. But I don't like that. I also, a lot of the hair stuff and the makeup and all that kind of stuff, the posing. Yeah, there was just something initially in encountering the sport or whatever it is that I really was not into. So I was a little, I was like, okay, I guess I'll have to do that stuff if I do this, and I kept lifting, and I kind of, even back then it wasn't really about how my body looked, or it was really cool to see muscles develop, but I didn't go to the gym, and that wasn't my focus. Like, man, I'm gonna go in here so suddenly, like, my shoulders will look amazing. Like, when I was working my shoulders, it was because this feels amazing. Like doing shoulder, seated shoulder press with dumbbells. That used to be one of my favorite things to do. I just, get pairs of dumbbells and just hike them up and like do sets. And that was probably how I built, in part, stupidly developed shoulders in comparison to other lagging body parts. When I first got into bodybuilding or powerlifting, that was really like obvious. So that was kind of something that had already been developed pretty well. I liked to progress in weight. I liked to feel like, man, I've made progression. I really didn't care about how it looked. I mean, I did, but I didn't. I can get more into that. Maybe I will in this video. So I guess here, I'm going to try to like abbreviate this a little bit and say that the idea of competing at any kind of physique competition, bikini down to actual bodybuilding, I don't want to get onto I am not willing to get onto a stage and give somebody else power to judge my body subjectively in comparison to other women's. That is just how I feel about it. A lot of women don't feel that way about it, and they're totally cool with that. I kind of find it really objectionable personally. I don't care what they do, but like, there is no way I am letting anybody do that to me. Yeah, sure, maybe I have issues with people judging me. I kind of do. Like, yeah, I spent a lot of years really feeling like crap about myself. I still kind of do. But, knowing that, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, it also, like I said, I just, I don't really, the subjective part of it is something that I find very hard to place stock in and to be proud of. If somebody, says something good or bad about my appearance, that is so insanely subjective, it's not funny. Like, a deadlift is not subjective, okay? You can hitch it, and then it's like, I don't know about that. But it's not, it's qualitative. You did the lift or not, and you did so much weight, or not so much weight. That is at bottom line what I'm interested in doing, and I've always been interested in that. So that was, and the thing is, I know various physique competitors in an online capacity, and I appreciate what they do, and I really, really take a lot of interest in the body's adaptations to this kind of work. And so, watching a physique competition is interesting to me, at least from that score. I wish it was more about that. Like, I would argue that, obviously to get into the top places, you have to be so polished and whatever. And I'm just like, well, what, I cannot imagine, like, having that be a consideration in something I was, competing in, and just, it's just, like, not what I want to put my energy into, like, at that level. So, what was I saying? So, yeah, like, honestly, like, I know of people, and I really admire what they're doing. Frankly, usually those people that who compete in physique stuff, the ones that I admire, they also train kind of like powerlifters. Like, I know that they go into the gym and they're like, hell yeah, like, I want to do the PR thing, yay. They're really, really working with the compound lifts, which I believe to be a great way to actually, build a physique for those sports. So, honestly, I'm not saying that everybody, should do it or whatever, but, like, there are definitely reasons that I'm not going to do it. Sometimes I joke around about it, especially when, I'm like, well, I'm bulking anyway, like, I'm going to go through a cut at some point, I might as well just, like, go get on stage. Do you know what that involves? First of all, the dieting, like, no. I kind of, to be honest, I often call physique competing, competitive dieting. And so, you can turn around and throw an insult at a powerlifter like we're all fat. So, it's all fair, game for those kinds of digs. But in reality, there is a lot of dieting that, you're on a deficit, you're carb depleted, whatever the hell. I am way more interested in what my lifts are doing than doing that. So you really have a hard time balancing. If you're going to be, like, cutting for a show, please tell me that you're able to do the same lift squat that you could when you were, off season. Like, I don't see it that often, and I am not interested in that. I am fully, and I know you can kind of bring it back up, but imagine if you didn't spend time cutting for whatever, competition, and you just kept working on your squat. And this is for people who are at pretty high levels in these sports, okay? It's often kind of feasible for somebody who's kind of a new physique competitor / powerlifter to get away with going back and forth. But if you really want to excel at one or the other, good luck doing both. Just saying, to get into, like, the top 5, especially powerlifting. Once again, physique competing is really subjective. So you get into the top 5 there, I'm like, good job. Like, there were people who judged you on, like, various criteria. It's just really hard to kind of get both going at the same time. And I am not intent on being mediocre at multiple things. This is not CrossFit. I am intent on being really, really good at one thing. And I am not going to let things hiccup, I'm not going to intentionally inject hiccups into my training. It's probably going to happen because I'm probably going to get injured periodically. So there you go. That's kind of my physique competition equivalent. So, I really, like I said, I really try to keep that positive, but I actually have pretty strong feelings about this, and I'm not going to really apologize for them. Once again, people can do whatever the hell they want, but if you ask me what my opinion is and why I do or don't do something, like, I'm going to answer. So, why else do I do this versus certain other types of strength training? I am not interested in Olympic lifts. I'm just not. Like, I've been around them a fair amount. I've kind of investigated them. I'm just not as in love with them as, and this kind of makes sense based on how I lift. I'm really, really good at grinding out weights. I have terrible, like, power output, and that'll improve over time, but I actually really enjoy grinding out weights. So you give me a hard deadlift, and it's like, yes. Even squatting, like, if I do make a hard squat, I like that. So it's kind of, from the day I kind of started this stuff, especially deadlifting, it was like the most fun activity that I could really feel, you know, that I had it kind of hooked onto. So, and also Strongman, I think the reason that I'm not doing that, I'm like, it's cool, like whatever. I think some of the events are like really awesome. But I think I'm a little more in love with the extremely technical aspects of powerlifting in combination with that kind of maximal strength grind. Because I know the Olympic lifts are extremely technical, and if you're doing them and you don't think they're extremely technical, like, oh my god, you're doing them wrong. But I just, you know, I think that combination over in powerlifting is something that personally, the way that my mind is wired, the way that my body is wired, it really works for me. So that's why I'm doing this. And I think one of the ways that you can tell if what you're doing is right for you is if you don't even like think about it. And when I say that, I mean you don't struggle, you know, with what you're doing. Mentally. Yes, you struggle powerlifting, you have to work really hard, but I don't have to goad myself into going and doing it. I don't have to I frankly don't even have to check in with what my long-term goals are or whatever. I want to do the activity every damn day. Guess what? I have a rest day today, which is good because I need it, but like, I have a squat day tomorrow and I am so looking forward to it. I just want to go do this stuff every day. Or okay, the days that I don't have rest days. So if you have that with something, then you should be doing it, probably, unless it's hurting you, you know, kind of. I mean, even then, like, whatever. So I guess that's mostly my answer, and I understand that some of that might have been really incendiary to like, physique competitors or whatever. I'm sorry, you guys can attack me all day if you want, like, trust me, like, you can just rip on my body, like, I'm pudgy, I'm, you know, whatever, like, I'm a fat power lifter, let's just go with that stereotype. That's fine, because I can guarantee you that you cannot rip me apart as hard as I can. I can be more cruel to myself, mentally, about myself, than I believe anybody has ever been to me on the internet. And while I haven't been attacked that viciously on the internet in a while, this was actually something that used to happen more when I was blogging in a totally different part of my life. You know, I can take it, because I do a lot worse, like, every single day. I'm trying not to, but, you know, there's only so much that I can weed out as time. I am working on it over time. So anyway, that was my answer, and, well, we're up at about 13. I knew it. I, like, predicted this to be about 13 minutes. If you got through all that, awesome. If you have any responses, if they're angry ones, I want to hear them. Like, this is good stuff to debate. But otherwise, I will probably just post another lifting video tomorrow. Thanks for watching.